Welcome to Blunt Advice, the short form show that delivers cannabis industry insight and information in quick hits to help you operate your cannabis on a higher level. Here are your blunt hosts, Francesca and Mike.
Some of our favorite clients are startups, whether they're just starting out or they're thinking about getting in. We love working with those sorts of clients because it allows us to really help them see their vision turn into a reality.
Yeah, and it's nice to get to work with them from the ground up because they have their goals or they have this idea of what they want to become, but they're new to the cannabis industry or they're just thinking about getting into the cannabis industry and they don't know if, what they don't know.
Or they're new to being a small business owner.
Yes.
That's a lot of it too.
Absolutely. And so there's a lot of ways you can be new in cannabis, and there's a lot of new things in cannabis that I really don't think exist in any other industry. So you can't be prepared for them by doing anything other than cannabis.
That's right. I was
Did
really
you follow that?
making sure I was following that map around, but you got there. There is a lot of new things, and it is a lot of fun for us, and that's why today we wanted to give some blunt advice on setting some realistic expectations for your startup cannabis business. So I think I want to jump into this one right away with the biggest thing for me is why have the right expectations so you don't get disappointed, so you don't go out of business because you had the wrong expectations. Because there is so many things that could make or break your business if you don't plan for it or don't try to anticipate it.
You go too big, too fast if you just don't know what you know to expect.
Yep. So there's kind of three things that we really like to educate people about or give some expectation and perspective on three areas of starting up the business that really are critical. The first one, number one, everything in cannabis costs more. Whether it's your professional service providers, accountants, lawyers, insurance,
compliance, taxes, 280E. There is so much in cannabis that doesn't exist cost-wise in any other industry. So you've got to know what those are. So, we ran through them, but are there any that you really want to dive into?
Well, if you're touching the plant, 280E is a huge one, and that your accountant will handle that.
Yeah.
But you plan on spending at least 50% more for a cannabis accountant than a regular accountant, if not, double. There's a lot going on. It's not, they're not milking people or taking advantage. It's a specialty, and there's a lot to be aware of because that tax situation alone is enough to really, really put a strain on your cash flow. So that's the big one for me is making sure you have that covered.
Yeah.
And a tip here, project out 12, 24 months of expenses, then double it. Try to keep as much cash as you can at the ready because the expenses are going to come out of left field and they're going to cost more than you're going to expect. So just plan ahead and double. And
part of that cash and part of the reason why you want to double is because of kind of issue number two is that you must be aware and have realistic expectations around timelines and know everything takes longer in cannabis.
Dog
everything.
Years longer.
Yeah. And it's funny because we do talk about even our experience in cannabis is counted in dog years because 6 years in cannabis is huge. You're kind of a veteran in the industry, but it works the opposite way because everything takes longer. You are talking about dealing with Mother Nature. Ultimately, Mother Nature is an element in your product and in your production. So you don't know what's going to come in and wipe out a crop or,
an early freeze.
Fuck up transportation. There's supply chain issues. There's so many things that are that Mother Nature is going to screw over for cannabis.
Yep. The other thing about things taking longer also, and we run into this a lot, Francesca, is it's hard to get a hold of people sometimes because, if you think about the two groups of people that are trying to talk, it's people that are in the production side, so they're out working in field, working on the manufacturing part of their product, right? So
or
they're
running
busy.
their farm, running their business.
They're busy doing all that stuff. The other group we try to talk to a lot are the purchasers and the bud tenders and things like that.
Store managers and owners.
They're busy. Well, hopefully they're busy.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully they have a lot of consumers in front of them and they're dealing with that on a face-to-face, one-to-one basis. So not everybody's sitting around waiting for the phone to ring or waiting for your email to come in or your text. So, things that we would think, we should be able to get an answer to that in a week or so, it might take a month. It might take 6 weeks or 2 months. In fact, we've had things we thought were kind of dead and gone away, only to resurface in some cases 8 months or a year later. In some ways.
Yeah.
So things take longer, not because they don't like you or because they're, it's a business decision or something like that. A lot of times, just people are really busy. So just know that. And I think the way you want to kind of get around that is just have a bigger pipeline of things going on. Knowing that things are going to take longer. If you know you need to get a certain amount of new business conversions to be successful, your goal should be to have twice what you think you're going to need, just so that way you can extend out over time.
Yeah, that's excellent. It totally factors into any kind of sales strategy because communication is key in that and getting responses back. So yeah, absolutely.
You mentioned getting response back, and I think this leads right into the third one. So thanks for that handoff. We see this a lot. You get out of it what you put into it. And I think there's two distinct groups of people that are in the cannabis industry. One is like the people that treat their business like a side hustle.
Yeah.
So this is someone that has a farm but also has a day job, or they own a dispensary but also own a nail salon or something else. So they only have part of their focus devoted towards their business, part of their focus devoted towards interaction that you may have with them. So we talk about things taking longer, and part of it's because if anybody doing this on the side hustle, they're not fully committed. So they're there part of the time, so that's going to...
So the decision making is going to be slower. I mean, like the everything's smaller and slower. So yeah, you need realistic expectations from those people, and also those people need to create realistic expectations for themselves. If you're treating it like a side hustle, don't plan on growing a multi-million-dollar business just because it's cannabis.
Somehow win the lottery with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so you have to understand that and temper the expectation based on who you're working with. But hopefully you're not working with many side hustlers. You're working with people who are treating it like a legitimate business, and they're like-minded like you are. So they want to grow. They want to do the right things. They're looking for other companies to work with that are like-minded.
Yeah.
So those are the ones you have to find.
And how do you even find those people? So what is it that people have to do?
Get out of your store, go to events, go to networking opportunities, meet other people, because that's how you're going to build your network. That's how you're going to identify who's the pretenders and who's the contenders.
Ooh, I like that.
That's the only way.
Pretenders and contenders.
Finally, I got one in.
But yeah,
and a tip here, you got to get out, but also ask your professional service providers. The ones who you're paying a premium for, they should be able to introduce you to some people that are going to be like you and have a good chance of maybe being a good partnership down the road.
They understand your business. I mean, they are your professional service providers, so they should be able to connect you with people that'll grow your business. How is that not a win-win? So that's such a good tip. And I remember you telling me that years ago of, here's why it's worth it. You want somebody in the industry in these roles because there's more than just the service. There's a network that we're building. Yeah, it does. And it takes a while, and it takes an investment in time and stuff, but you need to do it. I mean, that's part of it, is that you can't really have a realistic expectation without having peers to be, running with.
Well, you're operating in the dark, really, when it comes down to it. And I think there needs to be some realistic expectation on how much time you should spend networking.
Ooh.
So you don't need to do it every day, all day, or but have a goal for yourself. I want to do an hour a week, or 30 minutes a day, or I'm not going to do it every other week. I'm going to spend 2 hours or an afternoon on a Friday doing my networking. I want to go to 5 events this quarter, or whatever it's going to be, whatever is realistic for you and the time you can do. Make that a rule for yourself and have that expectation.
Yeah, you need to have that built into your plan, because otherwise it won't get done. It's such an easy one to miss, or honestly, it's an easy one to overindulge in too, So you want to make sure that you're networking the right way.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
I think we got it all.
That is a lot. I mean, so let's roll all this up and take a couple quick hits of this blunt advice.
Yep. Number 1. Things are going to take longer in the cannabis industry. So just factor for that and plan ahead.
Yeah. And number 2, everything costs more. Make sure you have more than enough cash than on hand so that you can stay alive as long as you need to.
And number 3, you get out of it what you put into it. So try to find like-minded companies and keep an eye out on the people who are treating the business like a side hustle.
Yeah. All right. And of course, we always want to hear from you. We want to hear that blunt feedback. So make sure you email us at bluntadvice@infusedmedia.io.
Well, I'm Mike.
And I'm Francesca.
And in the time it took you to convince the TSA agent that those are cough drops in your pocket, you got some blunt advice.